Well, old Bob's quite bright and breezy this morning, although he's had fit after fit after fit after fit. I think it's something to do with food deprivation, because although he had his last feed about 8:30 last night, and I made sure his crop was really, really full, 8:30 this morning he was convulsing all over the place. So once he'd got over the 999,000th one, I immediately fed him his corn, and he ate that with great gusto. He didn't drink again, but ate. And then the convulsions slowed right down to about one every 5 or 10 minutes, but they're really aggressive. He's just had his yoghurt and raw egg concoction. He had a fit when I picked him up to bring him out here, and I've just given him a dust with diatomaceous earth as he's out here. It's a nice day. I was going to give him a spray, but I thought no, I wouldn't spray him because I was a bit worried, because it's very, very windy and it's not exactly a warm wind, and I thought if he, you know, is wet and gets a draft as well, I could end up creating more problems for him, i.e. pneumonia. So I decided not to spray him and just to dust him, in the hope that with him flapping his wings like he does and stretching and whatnot, he'll get most of the... Oh dear, why are we having a fit? We're not having a fit. We're falling over the grass. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. Anyway, he thoroughly enjoyed me dusting him. He did what he does when he's in the... when I rub him down in the dust hole out there. He stood with his wings out and absolutely still, sort of pinned his chest against my legs so he could, you know, balance himself while I rubbed the old diatomaceous earth all into him, and his old head was going sideways, you know, much like a dog when you scratch behind its ear. I think if he could have lifted his foot up and, you know, done a thumper impersonation, he would have done. And then when I finished dusting him, he just stood with his head on the floor, his bottom right up in the air, and his wings completely extended outwards, facing the, you know, facing the sun. I say with his wings out. Where you going, man? Are you going to fit, or are we going to... No, we're going to fit. Okay. Okay, why are we fitting? You've been right for at least 10 minutes. Well, that was a gentle one. Okay. And, yeah, you've been wickering away all day, haven't you? All morning, anyway. That's what he's done to my boots with his fits. He's ripped my trousers more. They were torn anyway, but they are now completely disintegrating almost. But never mind. And as I say, he stood there for about 10 minutes. No, shut up, Michelle. About 2 minutes, with his head down, bottom up, facing the sun, wings completely extended outwards, and just sort of rocking, enjoying obviously the sensation of the diatomaceous earth serrating the lice if he'd got any, or just scratching his itches or whatever, and the warmth of the sun under his wings and the breeze, the draft. Unfortunately, by the time I got the video camera, he stopped doing it, which was a right pain because it looked quite comical. As you can see, he's quite bright. He's looking around. His comb at the back there is standing very nearly upright, so that's a good sign. I suppose the next two are big. Well, there's certainly the fourth one's beginning to straighten a tad. So you give yourself a good old dust out here, downwind, so you don't breathe it in, and then when you flap tonight, if you're going to flap tonight in the house, you won't smoke us all out with diatomaceous earth dust. No. Come on. I know the food probably hasn't gone down yet, has it? To give you nutrition. Yeah, I'm wondering if it is something to do with food deprivation and the fact that perhaps his liver and kidneys and all his other workings, like his blood count and what have you, were compromised, because the Rhode Island used to get into the feeder, and he would never chase him or Floyd off, but he just used to stand broadside on the feeder, and these two would sort of stand back and not really go to eat. So I put a couple of handfuls on the floor, thinking, well, they can get to that. And then the Rhode Island would leave the feeder and go and stand broadside to the 2 handfuls on the floor, even though I'd spaced them right out. So he couldn't do that. But he used to. Just the fact that he was standing there used to put these 2 off. And of course they wouldn't go back to the feeder. So I'd then have to stand in there and keep the Rhode Island away so these 2 could get either to the feeder or to the 2 piles on the floor and have a feed. But they sort of weren't allowed to feed ad lib and fill their hunger quota, I suppose. I mean, he was the biggest rooster. But then he then took over size-wise, but then the Rhode Island took over from both of them, because he was the smallest, but he was massive, the Rhode Island. He was very nearly as big as one of the turkey females. But it was all fat and feathers. He didn't have a lot of meat. I suppose he had a fair amount of meat on him, but he also had an awful lot of fat on him, because he used to gorge all the corn. But yeah, I'm wondering if it's food deprivation that started his problem. And of course, that the Rhode Island, because he was getting bigger by the day, he was more and more menacing to these 2, even though he wasn't aggressive, although he did jump on him from time to time and pluck the feathers out of his back. So of course when I moved away and maybe came round here out of earshot, the Rhode Island may well have attacked both of them and kept them well away from the food. And him being him, a bit more, slightly more up front and in your face, would have got the odd pickings. But him being meek and mild and a total wuss would have not bothered. So I'm wondering if it's sort of starvation type thing. Malnutrition, and it just so affected his blood count, red blood cells and what have you. Why is it every time you flap now you're fitting? This is ridiculous. You weren't doing this yesterday. You did it yesterday morning for a while, but not for that long. Not that often. And then as soon as you'd eaten, you were fine. Yes, you were. As soon as you'd eaten, you were fine. That sounds really hot on you, isn't it? That's I should have sprayed you. Cooled you down a bit. That's the trouble. Too much heat now. There's a good window. Well, why don't you peck around at the grass? I'll be quite happy if you pecked around at the grass. Steady up now. There's a boy. Yeah, there's a boy. I know the grass is a bit long, but... What the hell? What are you doing? What's going on over there? Is somebody... Oh, God, I'm a bloody gate. What's going on? Is the wood falling down or something? Or somebody trying to get under the wood? No, the wood hasn't fallen down. So what was that all about? Hey? Or did somebody attack somebody? Boots, did you attack Whitey there? Are you being a bit of a tyrant? Hey? You didn't used to be aggressive. You used to be a sweetie. Old Whitey there is a one wing wave. Quite often he'll stand there and just flap one wing. It's absolutely pathetic. It looks like he's waving. It's all right, Floyd. Panic over. Yeah, I know you're going stir crazy on your own, aren't you? But at least you come out in the morning with your mate here and your brother, rather. Steady little man. Steady little man. Yeah. 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 Having fun? I think I've only got 3 fertile guinea eggs too, which is a right pain in the pee. So I'll candle them again tonight. And I decided I won't sacrifice them. I'll put some chicken eggs under her. I've got another 3 days to get to the 21, so they all hatch at the same time, providing of course the guinea eggs, well, the 3 that I think are fertile, well, certainly are growing if they survive, for the chicks and them to hatch at the same time. So there's plenty of time to see what's what. And I'll put chicken eggs in the incubator with the guinea eggs too, to make sure that they're growing as well, then transfer the whole lot under the little hen, but she's only a very, very tiny hen. And considering we had all the guineas, baby guineas 3 years ago, under these great black things with bare heads, we're going to have guineas being hatched by the tiniest little hen ever with bare neck, black. She is minute, she only weighs about 2 ounces. But she's a sweetie. Right, little man, I'm going to go and get on now. You alright, Air, for the minute? Yeah? Okay. Well, day 16, I don't quite know what to make of old Bob today. Yesterday he was convulsing quite a lot when he was outside, but then he was pacing up and down the fence looking at the turkey ladies and seemed to be completely normal, and I didn't give him quite as much attention yesterday as I have been, because I had my daughter over and my little grandson, so of course I was busy with them, but I was going and feeding him sort of every 2 hours and making sure he was okay. And anyway, after about an hour and a half, after my daughter had left, I was messing about feeding the others and what have you, and I decided to get him in. And he was standing by the fence, and as soon as he saw me come through the gate, he came running over, vocalising as he went, jumped on my wellies and sort of looked up at me as though, right, I'm coming in. And it was so sweet, and I couldn't have a video camera or anything. I couldn't have, well, I could have videoed it, but I didn't think anything of it. You know, just normal, but that was a really sweet response. He, you know, running up to me with his wings open and, you know, wanting a hug and to be picked up and brought in. I brought him in, and he was strutting his stuff around the kitchen looking like a normal rooster, and I thought, wow, you know, we're well on the way to complete recovery. Again, he had a very quiet night. I made sure his crop was really full before I put him to bed, because I'm beginning to think that it's food deprivation that causes, well, it doesn't cause the problem, but compromises him further. But this morning, he ate heartily, and again didn't drink, but he had convulsion after convulsion after convulsion, and they were really, really violent. And about the fourth one, I was managing to keep him contained for the others to a degree. I mean, there was a few he had without me, you know, being there to contain him and to keep him restricted. Are you going to go again, little man? No, please don't. Please don't. You've been quiet for 20 minutes. No. You okay? No, you're going to go, aren't you? Okay. All right. Okay. Steady, 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 steady. I've found that putting my fingers between his wings and just restricting him is a lot better than having my hands at the front of his wings, but they are so aggressive now, these. As he's getting stronger, they're getting stronger, and it is really concerning. Oh, little man. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But there was one particular one that I was there to restrain him, but then he, I don't know, flipped sideways, got his foot up one side of the bars, the other foot under, between the bars, and he flipped. I lost him, and as he we were sort of on the floor, on his bottom was on the floor, but his feet were up in the air. I say one foot was through the bars, the other one was climbing up the bars. Wings everywhere. I lost the wings. I couldn't contain them. But as he sort of flopped to the floor just after the convulsion, you know, when he goes to the rigid stage, something clicked. It wasn't a leg or a toe. I don't know if it was a wing or a rib, but something definitely clicked. Might have been a broken feather, but he hasn't got any visible broken feathers. So I have checked his wings. I have checked his rib cage. Obviously the toes and the legs are okay. But since then, when he was eating, he's had all his concoctions and everything this morning, he kept putting his head right down on the floor after he'd had his egg and yoghurt and bits and pieces. And then he'd convulse. So I don't know what the hell it was. It might have even been a vertebrae in his neck or spine, but something definitely clicked, and I thought, oh, Jesus Christ, that's it. His wattle, I've got good old Sudocrem on his wattle, because that's really hard and not very healthy at all, and I think it's dead. Well, that's black, but it's hard, so there's no blood supply going to it, so I don't think it's just going to sort of scab up like his face did, and now that's completely okay now. It went white and the bits of damaged flesh fell off, and you know, perfectly clean underneath, but that is really hard, and he is boiling hot in there, really hot. So I think he's got a temperature going on, and this is boiling hot on the sides of his face, really, really hot. So I'm going to wait for all his concoctions to go down another couple of hours. I'll put him outside in a minute while I tend to the turkey, because she's in dire straits. I was going to stop giving her antibiotics, and I made her I've done her a yoghurt, egg and cat's claw syringe for her to, you know, give her fluids, and I've got a bit of garlic juice in there and milk thistle juice, and I've made her some dough with high protein pellets and whatnot, so I can just make them into little bullets and put them down her throat, because she's not eating, she's skin and grief. But last night she was really bad, really desperate, and this morning I was quite expecting to find her dead, but she's not good at all. So I'll put him outside so I can keep an eye on him while I'm dealing with her, and a bit later on I'll put him back on antibiotics, because of course if that is dead, that wattle there, it's going to cause a problem. Maybe that's what's happening now, that it's maybe a start of septicemia, gangrene, whatever, but I'm going to protect him with antibiotics anyway. But as I say, not right now, because I don't want to compromise him with too many bits and pieces. So I'll pick it up after I've dealt with the turkey and see what's what.